Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Understanding Behavior live stream. I'm so glad that you could be here today. I know it's really weird. I put a flannel on. It got my AC got too cold, so I'm wearing sleeves, which is a weird thing. But I don't know. I'm gonna take it off later. Anyway, how's everybody doing today? Thanks so much for coming. Today we've got experimental design part 2 is our topic. We did experimental design part 1 last time. We kind of talked over grand scheme about experimental design. We talked about experimental control. We talked about baseline logic. I know if you're also in Crystal's group on Monday, we also talked about baseline logic in there. And then we went over the reversal and the alternating treatments designs. So if you did miss that presentation, make sure to go back and check on the live tab of the Understanding Behavior channel, where you can go ahead and watch that presentation. So yeah, to get there, just go to YouTube, Understanding Behavior, and if you click on the live tab, that's where all the good goods are at. So make sure you guys are checking those out. So yeah, these lives are recorded. You can view them all on this in that spot on the channel there. Also, today we just started a Labor Day sale. So if you are looking for some mock exams, we do have some really nice discounts on these. These will only go until Monday, so it's a very short window. If you're interested in picking up these products, this will be the best price that you'll see for quite a while, probably till Black Friday or so. So keep that in mind. The mini mocks for Master are usually 99 bucks. They are down to 75 bucks. Huge discount. And then the Beat the Beast mock exam is only 30 bucks this weekend, and you can get both of them together for just $99. So the same price that you would normally get the mini mocks for, you can get the Beat the Beast mock on top of that for free, essentially. I don't know if Crystal sorry, I meant to have my screen a little bit smaller so you guys can see this. But yeah, so you, again, mini mocks are just 75 bucks. The BCBA Beat the Beast mock is just 30 bucks. You can buy them together for 99 bucks. You may have also noticed that tutoring with Crystal is now an option on the Understanding Behavior shop. So if you are interested in purchasing a session with her, she is one of our amazing study leaders, always leads the Wednesday group. That is now an option that you can purchase on the shop. I don't know if she wanted me to tell y'all that, so maybe don't everybody sign up. But if you want to sign up with Crystal, she's taking on a few sessions right now. All right, well, that is that. I know we are here really for the presentation, experimental design. So last time I took a poll on 1 to 10, how comfortable is everybody feeling with experimental design? We did part 1, so maybe these numbers will feel a little bit higher today, especially if we got some repeat students here that have attended both. I definitely see some familiar names, but give me a quick 1 to 10 rating. How are you feeling with experimental design? Cool, Mona's getting a 7. Yeah, Marjorie's absolutely right. Crystal is awesome. She is amazing. You will love tutoring with her. Oh wow, we're feeling really confident with experimental design today. A lot of people in the 6 to 8 range. Okay, hopefully our instruction helped to do that. I know it's not the only variable. I mean, we're talking about experimental design, so we know that there could possibly be a third variable that's affecting this. Cool, yeah, Kira, 5 new. That's totally okay. So yeah, we're going to get into some of the deeper stuff with multiple baseline design today. We're going to talk about some of the subtypes of multiple baseline designs. We'll get into changing criterion designs. Then we're going to talk about experimental analyses, and then we have a short segment on compound design. So when we combine experimental designs together, ooh, crazy. Well, anyway, we will probably give away some mock exams during this stream as well, so stay tuned and stay active to have a good shot at that. And if you like the video, and if we get more likes, likes and viewers are kind of what I like to see on these videos, and all of your participation and lovely interaction as well. So if we get more of those, I'll be more likely to give away stuff. So keep those happy, and we'll have a good time tonight. All right, yeah. Stacy saying testing tomorrow, so this concept's last ditch effort. I like it. I like it. Hopefully, some things will click. Hear my voice ringing in your head tomorrow while you test. Good luck, Stacy. Taylor Sandoval also testing tomorrow. Good luck, Taylor. It's crazy. We've had so many understanding behavior students pass recently. I think just last week we had like 5 or 6 that posted about it, which means we probably had a couple more that didn't post about it. So anyway, I think that's really cool. I'm glad that we're making an impact here, and I'm glad to see all these students passing their exams. Good luck, you guys. Kill it, kill it, kill it. All right, well, we're going to scooch past everything that we went through last time. Again, if you want to review that, check out the live tab in the channel to go ahead and review that a little bit more. But we're going to start off today with multiple baseline design. So let's talk about first just the features of a multiple baseline design. In the name, it does say we have baselines and we have multiple of them. So we can see that right in our graph to start off with. In a multiple baseline design, we are also only testing out a single intervention. So this is something that's often overlooked. So keep that really deep in mind there, is that we're testing out a single intervention with our multiple baseline design. So we see, if we look at our graph, we have simple baseline, then intervention phases. And what we're doing in multiple baseline design is that we're trying to replicate an A-B relationship across either different settings, people, or behavior. So let's go ahead and look at this. So we want to see an A-B relationship. So baseline intervention. So we have baseline here is like pretty stable around 40 or so for Rachel. Then we see when we implement the intervention, it gradually increases and it looks like it stabilizes around like 80, maybe 85 or so. So we saw like an increase of about 40 to 45 over time with our intervention. Now what we want to do is we want to look at Sarah now, and did we see a similar effect? So we actually did see a similar effect. We saw it remained around 40 in baseline, and then we saw when we implemented the intervention, we saw that gradual increase and then stabilization around 80, 85 again. So what we did here is we did replicate this A-B relationship. We did see the difference between these two, and the same pattern did occur. So we have these settings, the people or behaviors. Sometimes this gets lost, but what are these called? What are these on our graph, these different settings, people, or behavior? So on this graph, we have 3 different participants, different people, but what are those? Who can give me like a more general name for those, or label for those? Nice. I like it. Yeah, Eileen, Winona, Kira, Felicia, right on it. Perfect. Yes, Marjorie, Anna, great, 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 great. Love it. Yeah, good, Tim. So perfect. Those are going to be our dependent variables. These are the settings, behaviors, or people that we're replicating our intervention across. For our visual analysis, the easiest way to identify a multiple baseline design is you want to look at these stack graphs, but not just that they're stacked graphs, because that could be a lot of different designs, but we need to see this kind of staircase pattern form between them. And what this staircase is signaling is that we have baselines of different durations. So shorter baselines usually more towards the top, and typically longer baselines more towards the bottom. We can do our baseline logic in this. It's a little bit different. So we see here that when we implemented our intervention, we continue with Rachel. We continue to take baseline data with Sarah. And we wanted to make sure that like when we implement with our first dependent variable, that the baseline is going to stay the same. And usually it's not as big of a deal if we're doing it across participants. You might see a little bit more of this like carryover impact if this were like across behaviors with the same individual, for example. But what we want to do is we are seeing verification here by continuing to take baseline with Sarah even though we're in intervention phase with Rachel. So that's kind of like our some form of verification. And then replication occurs when we replicate that AB relationship across our different dependent variables here. All right. So yeah, look for the phase change pattern after the intervention has been implemented with the previous condition. So yeah, what we looked at here is like the intervention was implemented with this condition. And this is where we are showing our verification, and our phase changes are going to occur once we've shown that like this verification is pretty stable. Then we can implement with our second dependent variable. So yeah, kind of a weird thing like to know like when to like implement our next intervention. It's when we see this verification, when we have shown that in our second dependent variable that the baseline is still staying pretty consistent, or it's stabilized out somewhere before we implement our intervention with that variable. Mona's asking, why do we vary the length of the baseline? So again, it's to show the verification. So continuing to see like the stable pattern of baseline with the second DV while we're in intervention with the first DV. And that's why we stagger those out. Again, it's going to be more relevant when we're doing this across behaviors or settings rather than participants, because obviously these are all three different individuals. We don't really know if they even observe each other even. All right. Yeah, and again, the way that it demonstrates our experimental control is that we want to see our verification, and then we want to see this replication, so these effects are being replicated across our different dependent variables. And again, to see that, our main comparison here, I told you it's going to be on every slide last time, is that we're going to make compare our level between our different conditions. So we see here we went from like 40 to about like 80 average towards the end here. So we compare the level. We see a very similar pattern in all of these. So we would say that this one is effective at increasing our dependent variable for our different participants. Alrighty, let's talk about some of the utility behind this design. So this is the most commonly used design. I think it's just because it's easiest to run, to be honest. It is also the weakest demonstration of experimental control. So we talked about how like the withdrawal design is a really strong example of experimental control, because we're very clearly showing those relationships with and without the independent variable. This is the weakest form of experimental control, and the main reason why is because there is no reversal. We're only doing AB relationships. We never reverse back to our original baseline condition. It's not a requirement for this design. So we have to be a little bit more skeptical of the results from this design in some cases, because it's not quite as strong as some of the others. You can use a multiple baseline design to teach irreversible behaviors. So that's one big advantage. That's something that we were not able to do with the withdrawal design because we wouldn't be able to show verification. But again, we can show verification here by like seeing the baseline continue with our second DV, even though we're in intervention with our first DV, and so on and so forth. So great design for our irreversible behaviors as well. It's also a pretty flexible design in general that can be used for a wide variety of behaviors. It's very inclusive design. You can use it for like more mild problem behavior. You can use it for scale acquisition behavior. You can use it for irreversible behavior, things like that. One big limitation is just it's not the best for severe or dangerous behavior. The reason why is because we're probably going to have to extend these baseline conditions longer than what would be necessary. So that could possibly have some ethical kickbacks. So that's our multiple baseline design. We have a couple different variations of the multiple baseline design. So let's go ahead and review those first. The graph I have up here now is actually a multiple probe design. Multiple probe designs, I feel like a lot of people teach these wrong. So if you've been like kind of like worried about these or been tripped up by these recently, then like get your pen out and take your notes, because this is the good goods of what you need. So multiple probe designs, they're only used for irreversible behaviors. So that's a really important thing. They're only used for irreversible behaviors. Keep that in mind. And the reason why we use probes with these irreversible behaviors is because these behaviors will not be learned in our baseline condition, and they won't be learned after our intervention. So let's say like kid has never ridden a bike before, and like we're not going to expect him to like know like any of the steps or be able to like do it very well in our baseline condition. And we're going to expect like straight zeros. Maybe that's not the best example, depending on like what measurement we're using for riding a bike. Well, let's look at our example on our graph here. So at our doing our graph review, we always want to look at our title first. We're looking at spelling instruction. And our dependent variable is percent of words spelled correctly. And we see that we have different word sets for one participant, Lexi. So if she's never seen these words before, then we wouldn't expect her to be able to spell them correctly. So we're going to expect that they get zeros in our baseline condition. Now we see our staircase pattern. This signals when the intervention is being implemented. So when we implement the intervention, notice we're not taking probes here. We're taking very continuous data. Because when we're doing the intervention, that's when our data is most likely to fluctuate, because they're learning it for the first time. So we actually have two different responses that are graphed in here. So we have the open circles are prompted responses. We see those decrease over time. And then the triangles are independent responses, and we see those increase over time to 100. And once they have stabilized at 100, that's when we go back to probing. And the reason we can go back to probing is because we anticipate that the behavior won't be unlearned after the intervention. So if she spelled 10 out of 10 words correctly 3 times in a row, then a week later we can expect her to probably be able to spell those words 10 out of 10 correctly as well. So we'll continue that and take data. The probes here, so there's a long period of time where we don't take any data. So it looks like if these were days each, maybe we took 10 days or so before we tested her on that same set again. We did a probe, just make sure like, hey, you still got it? And she did, and it was sweet. We can look at the other dependent variables, so the different word sets, and we saw a very similar pattern. So we didn't expect her to learn how to spell these words, especially with no feedback and these being totally novel words. So she didn't learn them in baseline. We used our instruction. We taught her. We got it to 100 for 3 sessions. Then we went back to probes. All right. So yeah, let's catch up in chat real quick. So Amanda's asking, is this kind of like a maintenance check? So yeah, the probes are usually kind of like a maintenance check, or like kind of just ensuring that we have maintenance. Sometimes you'll have maintenance probes, but it's not a multiple probe design. So let's go ahead and just look at this real quick. We have maintenance probe as the very last phase. Sometimes this will occur even in like a normal multiple baseline design, or even like a withdrawal design, but that doesn't make it a multiple probe design. It's just a single probe, and that probe is just a test of the material, and typically we don't provide feedback on probes. We can just like see what they get, score. Oh no, we're having some stream issues. I had my computer totally poop on me today. My hard drive froze, or like fried itself on me. So I haven't been having the best technology day. Let me know if there's anything I can do, and I will try to make it as best as possible for y'all. All right, so that's our multiple probe design. We also have our delayed multiple baseline design. This is also sometimes called the non-concurrent multiple baseline design. It's a little fuzzy on this graph. Sorry, even the original is kind of fuzzy. But this is what a delayed multiple baseline design. Essentially, there's a delay in some of the baseline. So usually you're gonna take these baseline days at like all the same times. Like session one is the same for each dependent variable. But sometimes like, it just doesn't line up that well, and we delay the baseline data collection. So look at this one. Like we didn't start the baseline data collection until like the 20th session. So we had 20 days without any data collection, and that would make it delayed multiple baseline. This could happen for a variety of reasons. It might be just like a new behavior emerged. Sometimes it's like if you're doing research, you just don't have the right participant that fits the study very well. So you might like be like 2 weeks in with one participant, and it's like, oh wait, this person is a great candidate for it, and then recruit them as a research participant. So sometimes it just kind of happens naturally like that. And oftentimes, like, there'll be a non-concurrent multiple baseline, and they won't graph it or tell you like that. So it doesn't matter too much, especially if you're doing it across participants. Alrighty. Well, I've got a question here for y'all. So this is going to be choosing the best experimental design kind of question. But I'm looking at the video. We've got 53 people here, but only 18 likes. I mean, that's kind of weak. Like, if we could fix that, something cool might happen later. I'm gonna check this question out. A researcher is interested in comparing the effectiveness of two different teaching methods on the acquisition of new vocabulary words by children with developmental disabilities. Which experimental design would best suit this purpose? So I think people that were here last time might have an advantage here since they learned about all the designs, but give this one a go, and you know me, if you can provide a rationale, that just makes it even cooler. Thanks for fixing that like counter. It's way better at 27 now. Appreciate all of y'all. Thank you so much. Let's see those answers. Let's see those rationales. Cool. I'm glad a couple of people weren't freezing. Are a lot of people saying B, but I need that answer, or I need that rationale here. Oh my gosh, we almost doubled our likes. Thank you guys so much. Sweet. All right, I'm liking. There's some good answers here for sure. Yeah, Anna, I like where you're going. Amanda too. Stacy looks good. So a lot of people saying alternating treatments because there's two different interventions here. Remember, a reversal design can also track out two different interventions. That's also the multiple treatment reversal. So I think like what would be really cool if somebody could point out like why alternating treatments over a reversal. Let's see if anybody can get that. Yeah, actually Eileen is really on that point. Great. Good. Yeah, Maddie right on track. Good. I like that, Stacy. Susan as well, doing very well. Cool. I'm loving these rationales. You guys are killing it tonight. Keep it up. Alrighty. So yes, best answer here is going to be B, the alternating treatments design. So alternating treatments design, we can quickly compare the two different teaching methods. Like I mentioned, we could also compare the two different teaching methods in reversal or multiple treatment reversal. But since these are new words, these behaviors are not irreversible, which makes a reversal design not suited or well suited for that. Alternating treatments is going to be a better choice. Elaine, I think you froze. Maybe refresh your page. All right. Great job, everyone. Loved all the rationales. Keep it up. Next up, we are going to talk about our changing criterion design. Dun, dun, dun. These are pretty cool. So they're used to gradually change the behavior that's currently in the individual's repertoire. So nice, easy way to kind of summarize all of that. Let's go ahead and look at this graph here. So we have a quick baseline, then our intervention. And then we see number of math problems completed as our dependent variable. So one thing that is unique to the changing criterion design is that we're going to use a goal line, also sometimes referred to as a horizontal prediction line. And this is used to shape behavior. When I say shape here, I'm going to kind of give you guys a probe question from a different presentation. Are we talking about shaping within topographies, or is this shaping across topographies if we're doing a changing criterion design? Let me see that in chat real quick, y'all. All right, cool. I thought I would stump a few of you, but nope. Excellent. So, yeah, going to be shaping within topographies because we're shaping a response dimension of the behavior and not teaching a new behavior. Yeah, Susan, really great point there. So yeah, this one is going to be shaping within topographies. Same behavior, the math problems, just we're trying to increase the frequency or rate of them. And again, we're using that goal line or this horizontal prediction line to help shape that behavior. To do that, usually there's going to be some kind of consequence associated with meeting the criteria of the goal line. So it's like if you meet the goal, then sweet, you get some kind of reinforcement or some kind of consequence. So, cool. And then changing criterion designs, they can be used for behaviors targeted for increase or decrease. The only limitations that they're not great for severe or dangerous behavior. So let's go ahead and look at this graph real quick. We see in baseline that our level is probably around like 3 or so, 2 or 3, it looks like. And our, but it looks like they almost got to 4, almost got to 5, so like 4 on that one day. So our first day, we set the criterion at 5 to see if they can meet it. And it looks like they got like 4, 5, 5, 5. So we saw this behavior kind of like meet that level of the goal line. That was really awesome. We increased that criteria a little bit more. And then after 3 data points, we saw the behavior kind of conform to it again. And each time we see this behavior kind of like levels up with the level of the goal line. And that's great. That's exactly what we want to see. So the way that the changing criterion design shows experimental control is a little bit different than some of our other designs. So in the other designs, what we were looking at is we were comparing the level between our conditions. In the changing criterion design, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be comparing the level of the behavior to the level of the goal line. And if that behavior conforms to the level of the goal line really nicely, that means we have strong experimental control. So let's look at this graph a little bit. Overall, like we have really strong experimental control in this graph. Like we put a prediction line, and the behavior pretty much goes to it really fast. So we see here, like, it takes one data point that's a little bit off, and then it conforms perfectly for several sessions very easily. So we have really strong experimental control here. The more that that these data points kind of like waver from the goal line, so let's say we had like data points that looked like this. This would show weaker experimental control because our goal line is saying like, hey, we're predicting that the behavior is going to be at 7 because we set the criteria here. So if good experimental control is like we were controlling that behavior, it's going to be at 7. Not 9, not 5, it's going to be at 7. So the more that differs from where we set the goal, then the weaker experimental control we have, the closer it actually lines up, the stronger experimental control we have. Oh, yeah, it looks like I have that right here. So again, farther away from the goal line, less experimental control. Closer to the goal line, more experimental control. There's a couple ways that you can manipulate your goal line to enhance the amount of experimental control. And kind of just like increase the impressiveness of your variable. You can do more jumps, so the more times that you change your criterion and we see that conform, the cooler that is. You can also like change the sizes of the jump. So like we did a pretty small jump here, but we can see up here like we did a much bigger jump. So that makes even stronger experimental control when we're varying up those sizes. And then another thing that we can do is what's called a bidirectional change. That's when we move the goal line to a level that is lower than we previously had it at. So are we changing the opposite direction essentially? So if we did it like this and then behavior lined up, that would be a bidirectional change. And it's kind of just like, again, showing like extra experimental control. I sometimes say it's like we're kind of just like flexing on experimental control. It's like, hey, even when we did like the opposite way, like it still works. So I don't know. So yeah, that's that on the changing criterion design. Looks like we have a little quiz ready. Let me just check, catch up in chat real quick. Yeah, Nicole's asking, what does irreversible behavior mean? So it means that the behavior is not going to be unlearned very easily. Yep. Perfect. All right, well, let's get into our little quiz here. I forget what these questions are like. Looks like I had another graph to talk about first before our quiz. So let's talk about this first. So this is another changing criterion design. What this was actually is it was kind of like an exercise intervention. So they were trying to get these individuals to pedal faster on their bike. And they had like recumbent exercise bikes. And they had them on like different VR schedules. So the bikes like had like a light on them, and the light would light up whenever they met the schedule, which would indicate some kind of reinforcer. I forget what the reinforcer was. So we see here we did changing criterion design. Note that like when we set our first criteria, we set it kind of like at the highest that they've ever done in baseline. So they got 80 on one day, so like yeah, we can just put him at 80. And we see like when we had that line at 80, so this is the VR 80 schedule, is that they actually performed way faster than what was expected of them. Then we see it kind of tapered out, so they put it at like 115 after, and then it was more closely aligned. So we had better experimental control here, but really weak experimental control here, even though it was way better result. They also did a reversal here, so they went back to baseline. So like, oh, if we don't have the VR schedule, like, was it gonna maintain their fast pedaling still? We saw it kind of like drop off for Scott a little bit, not back to our baseline levels, but definitely dropped off. And then we saw again an increase when we put the schedule back in. So kind of interesting here. We can again kind of like look at any of these little phases and see which ones have strong or weak experimental control. So like this one is really strong here in our third graph for VR 125. We see that line is like pretty much right on there all the time. But some of these other ones are weaker. Like this one had a better clinical result, but worse experimental control. This one was just a little wobbly and kind of looked like he underperformed for most of it. And then this one he overperformed. So kind of interesting graph here. All right, let's get into some questions. Next one, you are working with a client who exhibits 3 different types of disruptive behaviors in the classroom. We've got shouting out without raising a hand, leaving their seat without permission, and distracting other students. You plan to introduce a token economy system to address each behavior one at a time. Which experimental design would allow you to easily demonstrate the effectiveness of the token economy on each type of disruptive behavior? Yeah, Julianne's asking, was that a changing criterion with a reversal? Yes, absolutely. All right, sweet. Answer's looking good here. Anyone want to give me a rationale? Good, nice. Kira's got a nice rationale. I'm liking where we're going. Good. Yeah, nice, Lara. Good to see you here. Good, Mona. Yeah, there you go, Nikki. Awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at this one. Answer here is going to be the multiple baseline design. So it looks like they wanted to get some data on each of these behaviors independently, so we can kind of stagger that out in the multiple baseline design. We can also look at the topographies here. None of them are that severe or dangerous. So it's like shouting out without raising a hand, leaving the seat without permission, distracting other students, like pretty mild behaviors. So multiple baseline is okay with for those. And yeah, we can see how the token economy affects each one very nicely. Sweet, love the rationales there. Check out this next one. Gertrude would like to test out an intervention to attempt to slowly decrease the amount of packs of cigarettes she buys each week. Which experimental design would best fit this purpose? Yeah, Nicole O, keep it nice and simple. Just one IV across the behaviors. That's great. Heck yeah, welcome back, Laura. I feel like I went kind of easy on these experimental design questions. I know we've got some harder ones on Instagram, so definitely check those out. I recently just reformatted our link tree too, so check that out. It looks really pretty now. It's got all the stuff. Cool. Yeah, I'm liking the answers here. Let's check out some of these rationales. Mona says change the criterion because she is trying to reduce the amount of packs, which is the criterion. Yep. That looks good. We'll change the criterion to lower it until it's 0. Cool. Looks good, Amanda. Yeah, Laura has a good point there. Cigarette smoking is already in their repertoire. Very nice. So changing them out looks good with changing criterion. Good point. Yeah, the Instagram questions are the same as Facebook. So if you're on either platform, you are good to go. All right, let's check this one out. So yeah, we do have changing criterion design. You guys nailed the rationale. So we are going to gradually reduce this behavior. So changing criterion is really nice. We can set those goals, and we have a very clear objective. Is fewer packs each week, and yeah, it's a behavior that's already in her repertoire. So we're not teaching anything new with this design, and we're not looking to do like a really fast change like cold turkey. The gradual change works really nice with changing criterion. Sweet. Yeah, Tim has a good point. She can lower the amount of SIGs each week as well as increasing or then decrease again to show experimental control. Yeah, so if you want to do that bi-directional change, you could totally do that here. Like I don't know if we'd really want to, but it could be a fun thing to do. All right, let's check out this next one. Ronaldo has 3 different forms of self-injury. He's got headbanging, scratching, and wall charging. Due to the intense severity of these behaviors, an effective intervention needs to be discovered and implemented immediately. Which of the following would be the worst experimental design for this situation? keyword worst. If you didn't see that. All right, a lot of people going quick on A here. Got some rationales coming out. So yeah, a lot of people saying A because like we'd have to reverse to back to baseline. A couple people put C. Elaine put C. Maddie's thinking maybe C. Anybody want to put a rationale for C? Yeah, Alyssa's on the right track, but B would be the best one. That's not what's being asked here, though. Okay, Kira says, multiple baseline actually, because if you need to extend the baseline, that's also unethical. So yeah, both the designs like have like something that's not great about it. So what's worse? Is it reversing back to baseline, or is it having extended baselines? I know this one's a thinker. I gave you guys some softballs and then threw you a real thinker. Yeah, and our questions like we started putting the difficulty ratings on them. So we have like easy, easy plus, medium, hard, expert. I'd say the first two were like easy, maybe easy plus. This one I would throw in the hard category, I think. Well, anyway, I don't think I'm going to keep you guys waiting too much longer. I know there's lots of good thinking going on here. The best answer here is C. The best worst answer, I guess. So again, the question really important is asking which of the following would be the worst experimental design for this situation. I saw a few answers of people going for the best experimental design. So careful, careful, careful. Don't let the one word trip you up like that. So we're pretty torn between multiple baseline design and reversal design. So this said the BABC design. Let's talk about why these both suck and why the multiple baseline design is worse. So one thing to note is that if you're doing a reversal design on the BAB design, is that the baseline doesn't necessarily have to be that long. So let's say we've got our B, it's kind of working. We see some decreases like that. The baseline, it really only needs to be like one or two sessions. So if we see like one session or two sessions like that, we can just immediately switch back. Like if we saw this one data point, you just phase change back immediately. But if we saw if it was kind of low still, then that's when it kind of gets like a little gray area. Like, do we stay? Do we go? But if it reverses back immediately, we only need this one data point here. Then we can go back to B. And then things are pretty groovy. Like if this works, sweet, that's awesome. And if we do C and like add another element and that works better, then awesome. So the ethical limitation here was really one session where we're potentially causing harm to this client. That was our withdrawal design. With our multiple baseline design, remember we need extended baselines and we need to show verification in each one. So our first baseline might look like this, and then we implement our intervention. But then they're required to stay in baseline for a long time for these other ones. So even if this worked here, And like we're still in baseline for a really long time with these two other behaviors that are not receiving an intervention. So in my eyes, like these two behaviors not receiving intervention forever, and like the needing this initial baseline to start off with, is going to be cause way more problems than just this single data point session in this BABC here. All right, let me see what you guys are thinking in chat. Is this making sense, crew? Awesome, I'm glad it's making sense. Yeah, and sometimes like you just need to play it out and draw these graphs. It's a really good test taking technique, is that if you're not too sure, play both of these out in your head. Okay, what does the multiple baseline look like? What are the limitations? What does the BAB look like? What are the limitations? Now that we know what each of them look like, we can make the comparison and actually see this much more clearly. Cool. Glad it's clicking, crew. Yeah, sometimes we need those stumpers to make us think a little bit harder. All right, I think that's the end of this first segment. Just I had a reminder here that the Labor Day sale is going on, so you can get the Beat the Beast mock for $30, the mini mocks for mastering for $75, or you can get both of them for just $99 on the Understanding Behavior shop. And you can check out all of our pages on the link tree right there. We've got a little bit more for you, so we're going to go over experimental analyses as well as our compound designs a little bit. So we'll keep rocking. Why don't we do a giveaway too? I think it's, yeah, we've been here for a while. We haven't done a giveaway yet. Why don't we go ahead and do that? So what should we give away? Let's go. Let's do a mini mock. Let's do a mini mock bundle. Yeah, Taylor says mini mocks. Let's do mini mocks. All right, sweet. Yeah, I think this presentation, Kira is asking how long do we usually go to? We'll probably go another half hour or so for this presentation. All right, let's go do the mini mocks. These PowerPoint will not be sent out, but you can watch the stream back on the channel whenever you'd like. All right, let's do the mini mocks. So mini mocks for mastery. These are pretty awesome. They are all really tough scenario questions that make you think. The feedback is amazing, and we'll let you see these questions in a whole new light. So definitely an awesome product. And again, you can get it now for just $75, and this sale is only active until Monday. So don't delay. All right, so if you would like to win this, go ahead and give me a random number, 1 to 500, and then we will pull that number on stream. Let's go. Who wants it? Who's going to win the mini mocks? Good luck to everybody here. One guess per person, please. Multiple guesses will be disqualified. All right, maybe 10, 15 more seconds and we'll call it off. Okay, Alyssa's going to be our last person here. Our number is 294. Who is closest? Oh, 294. Let's see. Okay, Felicia Base, 262. It's kind of close. Oh, Mendoza, 305. That's a lot closer. 11 away. Is anybody closer? I think Mendoza Life. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I think Mendoza Life is our winner. All right, congratulations. Let me just write down my board real quick. All right, congratulations. Claim your mini mocks. Just send me an email at understandingbehaviorofficial@gmail.com. And I'll get you all set up with that. Congratulations, Mendoza. All right, let's keep rocking. So our experimental analyses, these are different from experimental designs. Think about like the experimental designs are like the system of how we're going to organize our experiment. But the experimental analyses are just what kind of comparisons are we making? So like what are we comparing? Our first type of experimental analysis is called the comparative analysis. These can be done in two different ways. So we can compare the effects of two or more treatments or different conditions together. So we compare the results of two treatments directly or two conditions, usually comparing like an intervention and a baseline condition. So think about our comparative analysis. It's like we're comparing like, is this or that better? So here would be an example. Does DRA or NCR reduce aggression more? That'd be your experimental question. Or we could say like, does DRA reduce aggression over our baseline condition without that? So either of those would be comparative analyses. And then we could do this experiment in a variety of different experimental designs. So note that our experimental analyses, again, are not attached to any experimental design. They can be a little bit more flexible. So first one, the comparative analysis. The next one is called the component analysis. We run this analysis and we're figuring out like which parts do we need out of a treatment package. So what they do is they analyze how important components of a treatment package are. Here's the process. So a treatment package is when we have more than one intervention that's used to target a behavior change at the same time. So we're trying to figure out like which parts actually work, which parts do we need. So to do that, we're going to remove one component of the intervention. If the behavior stays at a similar level, we're going to keep it out because we don't need it, and our data have showed us that. If the behavior changes significantly, then we're going to put it back in because we have deemed that it is a necessary component for that treatment package. And then we're just going to repeat that process for all of our different interventions that we think might be that we might be able to remove. So here would be a quick example. If both DRA or NCR, DRA and NCR are in to reduce the aggression, I can remove NCR and note if aggression increases. If it does, then I'm going to put NCR back in because it was noted as necessary. If it doesn't, then our data says that it's unnecessary and we don't need to have that intervention in anymore. We can keep it out. If we think that we could remove the DRA and that would be successful, then we could try removing that. But usually DRA is the thing that we like. We like to give our clients appropriate functional replacement behaviors. All right, so that was our component analysis. That's when we're breaking down the treatment package. Lastly, we have our parametric analysis. This is where we're comparing different values or different dosages of a single treatment. So we can look at what happens to aggression when we have an NCR 60-second schedule versus an NCR 120-second schedule. So what this tells us is how much of an intervention do we need. You think about this with like medication dosages as well. So if you're taking like an antidepressant, then maybe like a 2 milligram versus a 5 milligram dose has different effects, and you can track the behaviors and how they correlate to those different effects. With our behavioral interventions, really anything that's numerical that we want to compare the values of, like NCR, DRO, DRL procedures, those would be useful to use parametric analyses on to see which level we need, which level would be best. All right, I've got a couple questions here. Let's go ahead and check this first one out. A behavior analyst is studying the effectiveness of a comprehensive behavioral intervention package designed to reduce disruptive behaviors in the classroom that includes a token economy system, a response cost procedure, and scheduled teacher praise. Which type of experimental analysis should be used to confirm whether or not the intervention package is effective? Sounds good, Lucila. Maybe you can watch the stream or watch the recording later, and that might work better. All right, check this one out. Read it carefully, and let's see those rationales. All right, we're a little bit mixed between A and B here. I'd love to see some more rationales. Make sure to read this question really carefully. You guys know me, I'm a trickster. Read it carefully. Ooh, Naomi, I think you actually have your rationale flipped a little bit. Ah, Nikki. Really nice. She's seeing my trick there. Yes, Taylor. Love the rationale there. All right, let's go ahead and check this one out. The answer here is going to be B, a comparative analysis. This one was tricky. So we did have a treatment package here. But the thing was, we weren't trying to figure out if components of the treatment package were effective. We were more trying to figure out if the whole treatment package is effective. So really, we're just doing this A-B comparison with the treatment package, without the treatment package. This is a comparative analysis. If we were ripping apart the treatment package and trying to figure out which components do we need, like do we need the token system, or do we need the response cost, or do we need the scheduled brace, then we'd be doing a component analysis, but that was not the analysis that we wanted to be done here. All right. I think this question is a little bit redundant. It's now asking which should be used to attempt to provide the least restrictive treatment to the client. This would now be a component analysis. So really want to make that differentiation here. When we're trying to figure out which components we need, or we're trying to strip components off of our treatment package, we'll use a component analysis. If we want to see if the treatment package works at all, then we're going to use the comparative analysis. Good, good, good. Yeah, tricky stuff. And again, if you like tricky questions and you want to get tricked some more so you're more prepared for the exam, it's a really good time to buy the Understanding Behavior mocks, because this is going to be the lowest price until Black Friday. So I mean, it's a pretty long time before it's going to go on sale again. All right. Okay, we've got a couple slides on complex experimental designs, and then we are going to wrap up for the evening. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. With experimental designs, we can combine our experimental designs to help take the advantages of both and kind of limit the disadvantages of some of our designs. There are not endless, but there's quite a few combinations of designs that you can have. So I figured I would just talk about a couple. We'll show off a couple graphs, and then we'll be good to go. So first one, or first kind of variation you can have would be a multiple baseline with a reversal. The advantages of this, you can test across those different subject settings behaviors, but with that reversal element, you get really strong experimental control with it as well, getting rid of that limitation of the multiple baseline design. Again, like alternating treatments with a reversal, this is really nice because we can test those different intervention strategies really quickly, and then we can do the reversal at the end to just kind of like see if like consistently these work really well. Let's take a look at this graph here. We kind of got some wonky stuff going on. So we see percentage of trials is our dependent variable. I believe this one, I think this is a multiple baseline with a reversal. They just didn't do the line here. I think this is what this was. So yeah, we see like baseline, adult, ILP, baseline, adult, ILP, baseline. So we have a couple reversals here, but I think this is a multiple baseline as well. Let's check this next one out. So this would be the alternating treatments with a reversal. So we have the two different alternating treatments. So instructional method A and instructional method B. But they also tested these out in high density practice versus low density practice. So it looks like instructional method A didn't do that well when it was high density practice, but instructional method B did do really well, but neither did that well when it was low density practice. So that was kind of a cool analysis to see there, where we kind of saw four independent variables. We have method A with high density, method B with high density, method A with low density, and method B with low density. So kind of really cool analysis that that we wouldn't have been able to get this quickly if we didn't combine our designs. Here is a really messy one. So I think this one is a multiple baseline with alternating treatments, I believe. So yeah, lots of wonky stuff going on here. Actually, I don't know if this is a baseline here. This might not be a multiple baseline. This is... I think this might just be an alternating treatments with a lot of different phases. But it doesn't look like they actually did any baseline here. So I'm not sure if there's any reversal element. Yeah, this one would actually might not be a combo design. It's just like a really wonky multiple alternating treatments design with many different phases. So yeah, crazy stuff. You're definitely not going to see a graph this crazy on the exam. You might see a graph that's kind of like this on the exam. I think that's more fair game. They're not going to throw you something really wild. I promise you. It's not going to get too crazy. And that's why we're only spending a little bit of time on compound designs. Be familiar with them. Again, the main reason is just kind of to get the advantages of both sides. Yeah, just be able to recognize them if you see them. So look for the elements of each design. We went through all of those on each when we went over each of those. So you should be pretty groovy if you are pretty brushed up on last week's video and tonight's. Anyway, that is going to wrap us up for the evening. Thank you so much for participating. I loved seeing all the rationales today. I'm like looking at my text, and it's just like huge chunks of text. And I'm like, that is really cool to see. Like you guys, I can tell you guys are trying really hard and putting maximum effort into these streams. And I love that because that is how you're going to get most out of everything. I know we had a couple students that are testing tomorrow, so good luck. I think it was Stacy and I forget somebody else, but good luck if that is you. And if you are still prepping, again, this is going to be the best price for these mocks. The mini mocks for Mastery Rule. The Beat the Beast mock is very realistic representation of the exam, slightly more difficult. But if you get an 80% on it, you are guaranteed to pass the exam, or you'll get your money back. And yeah, get both of them for just $99. It's a killer deal. Yay, Taylor! Thank you so much. Thanks, Laura. Awesome. Well, appreciate you guys so much. I'm so glad this video was helpful. I know experimental design is not a fun topic for a lot of people. Hopefully this made it a little bit more approachable for you. I hope you guys have a lovely weekend. Enjoy the holiday, get some rest, get some fun in, and I will see you next week. We won't have study group on Monday, but we will be back on Tuesday ready to go. Perfect. All right. Mona's asking, do we have a class on breaking down questions? There's actually going to be a video on that really soon. So keep an eye on the channel this weekend. That should come this weekend. Yeah, with the bundle, you still get 2 attempts with the mini mock. So everything you would get with the normal mini mock purchase, you get with the bundle as well. So 2 attempts at each mini mock, 1 attempt at the Beat the Beast. For each, you do get your feedback reports that have very thorough feedback, especially for the mini mocks have extremely thorough feedback detailing each incorrect answer as well. Compound schedules soon? I think we did compound schedules in a behavior bonanza recently, Amanda. So check that out. All right, well, that's it for reals now. Thanks for showing up, everyone. Appreciate you all. Take care, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye-bye.